Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Career Chat. I'm Krista Harmon, one of the career readiness consultants with the Kent Intermediate School District. And I'm super excited to have Jesus Garcia. He's a senior systems analyst with us today as we talk about information technology careers this month. Welcome, Jesus.
Thank you for having me.
So one of the questions that we love to start with on our career chats are what you were thinking back in high school. Did you think you'd grow up to be a senior systems analyst? Kind of tell us your thinking back then.
Yeah, no, honestly, back then when I was in high school, becoming a senior systems analyst, that really wasn't on my radar at that time. I ended up getting there as time progressed, honestly, because I think I was just like all my other peers. I was just thinking of acquiring a job, and that's what I had back then. I was at my local movie theater popping popcorn, and I thought that's what life was going to be all about. But I guess to the viewers that are watching and are already curious about careers, that you guys are going to be in a much better place than where I was back when I was in high school, because there's a huge difference between getting a job and starting a career. So if you can get your foot into a field that you want to build your career around, those experiences you can build upon, those connections you can build upon, it's going to add up over time.
Yeah, and I love that distinction between a job and a career. Why don't you give your definition of that so they can understand what you mean by that?
Yeah, so that's it exactly. So I mean, getting a job would be just it's just kind of something that you do for hours of work in exchange for money, pretty much. How I would define a career is a long-term investment in what you want to be and what you want to become. You are still working, but when you're doing what you love, it's not really much of a job. It is truly a career. The experiences you're gaining, the skill sets that you're acquiring, they matter. And it adds up over time. You get to just watch yourself grow, and there's this excitement, there's this energy. You're always looking for the next challenge. And it's just different from having a regular 8 to 5 job, working minimum wage. It's different.
Yeah, I love that. So starting back then, we're going to hear about your career path, right? How this evolved. So you're in high school, you're working at the movie theater, giving free popcorn to your friends, things like that. Were you always a person who loved computers? Was that being in the tech environment kind of comfortable for you? And what was that decision then to go to college, or did you even have to go to college with your particular degree? Talk about that early transition part from high school to the next step.
Yeah. So right when I graduated from high school, there was a technology internship job at my school district here at Klein ISD. And that is actually how I got my foot into the door with the whole IT field. The hours were going to be a lot better as I was studying in college. So that was definitely enticing to me, and the pay was a little bit better. So I mean, I'm really glad that I went ahead and just made that decision to start a career versus and leaving my job. It really worked out for me in the long run.
So was it internship that you got right after high school, even really before you were in? It wasn't part of a college program. It was an opportunity that you saw that you could access right away after high school?
Yep,
Wow.
and that program is actually still alive. So here at Klein ISD, we open those job postings over the summer, and we'll acquire talent from either kids that are still in high school or just got out of high school. We also have some collegiate people that are getting ready to finish their degrees, so they can start acquiring some real hands-on experience.
Well, that's such a great tip for young people to hear. So everyone, Jesus is from Texas. So I actually identified him through some networking with my cousin, and that's how we connected with him to be on this career chat today. So be looking at opportunities for internships right out of high school, because we do have those in Grand Rapids, everyone. So you got this internship, and it was at the school system at the ISD there. So did you realize you needed a college degree right away? Was that something they told you that they wanted you to do, or did you want that for yourself?
Yeah, you start networking and talking with the seniors that are kind of training you up, and they start giving you a heads up as to when the next job postings are going to be available, and what kind of skill sets you need to acquire here at Klein. They post those job descriptions, and oftentimes they are looking for individuals who at least have a 2-year degree. And there are other jobs that require a 4-year degree, just depending on I guess the position.
So the position that you were in and the one that you were starting to aspire, did it need a 2-year or a 4-year? And how did you even make the decision of what you want to do at that young age?
Yeah, so I was still working through college. So I was doing this internship, and I was studying full time at college, taking 12 credits up to 17 credits per semester. It wasn't until I actually got my 2-year degree that I was offered a full time position with this school district. So at that point, I was able to finish my 2-year degree with 2 years of experience, and that that networking and having those I guess meeting those requirements helped out.
So what was that first 2-year degree in? And then what did you end up getting your 4-year degree in?
Right, so I actually do not have a 4-year degree. I do have industry internationally recognized certification. So I am CompTIA A+ certified. I got that in 2010. So right after I got my associate's degree. And it was just a 2-year degree from my local community college. In 2014, I actually got my CompTIA Server Plus. And just recently, last year, I got Nutanix certified.
Yeah, this is really important because this has come up with some of our other IT mentors, Jesus, is that in this particular industry, it is really what you know, and there's things you can be doing to self-study and take certifications that you don't need a college degree. So it's really important for young people to hear, especially when there's such a concern about college debt, that for this particular industry, this is very common, that it's the certifications that are going to propel you up that ladder with your experiences and make you very marketable. So were the mentors then at your internship helping you understand the kind of certifications you should be getting to make yourself more marketable?
Yes, honestly, truthfully, it is a copycat league, just like other leagues. This individual got this position and he has this level of experience, or he has that certification. So, I mean, just having good role models, not only just at your job, but having good role models in life, just trying to mimic them and acquire those skill sets. I truly believe you are who you hang out with. So yeah, if you want to become stronger, you want to become faster, work out with those guys. If you start studying with really smart individuals, I promise you your grades are going to go up, and it's just like that at the workplace. If you start working around individuals that are truly talented, after time, you'll start acquiring those skill sets. In this field, I mean, I started learning PowerShell. I started learning VMware. I learned everything from the individuals here, and it was great.
I feel like we could end our career chat right now. That line of "you are who you are hang out with" is gold, because it is so true. It's being around people who you admire, and you will, like you say, if you're hanging around the smarter kids and studying with them, you're gonna get better grades because it morph. And I love that you're making that connection for work too. So you got your degree, your 2-year, you got some certifications. So tell us, what was that first job? Because we definitely do want to hear more of what is a systems analyst. We want to hear about what that is so these young people can hear and maybe aspire to this. So what were some of those first jobs? Give us those transitions.
Yeah, so the very first internship job was actually to refresh the legacy technology within the school district. So we used to have, you guys are probably looking at your screens right now at a very flat, nice screen. When I first started, we had CRT monitors. They were big old heavy monitors, and they all had to get refreshed. So that was one of the very first projects that we had within the school district. after working that internship, that 2-year degree, the very first job was in my it was called a TBSI team. So it revolved digital technology. We had integrated starboards and a classroom performance system that I supported. And I did that for a couple years, and I moved over into the desktop support team. So I actually gained the skill sets to work on the desktop support team, working on the digital team. And after a year of working with that team, I got into the NOC, which is the Network Operations Center. That's when I really started gaining skill sets befitting of a systems analyst. So right now, I'm the tier 3 analyst, or I guess senior systems analyst. That's what they would call it in the private sector. And we're pretty much tasked here with virtualization. We're a big VMware house. We also are in charge of the hyper-converged infrastructure. We have over a petabyte of storage that we manage in our data center, 400 virtual machines, and all kinds of different technologies in here. So we have Dell servers, we have Cisco servers, Lenovo, HP, everything and anything.
So you just threw out a whole bunch of lingo. I got to ask you a few things. What is VMware for young people to know what that even means?
Yes, so VMware is the virtualization technology that we use for our server room for our data center. So back in the day, you would buy a server, you would rack it into the server room, and it would serve one function, one purpose. And then when you needed something else, you'd buy another expensive server and you would rack it, and you would continue this process. And the next thing you know, your whole server room is full of these 2U, 3U servers. So what VMware allows you to do, allows you to virtualize those servers. So I can purchase this one beefy server, and I could put 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 VMs on it, and we can scale that way. If we need to spin up more VMs, we will get more ESXi hosts, which is the hypervisor for VMware, and we'll scale that way. And if we need more storage, we'll buy more traditional SAN storage. We'll add another shelf of spinning hard disks or solid state disks if we need the performance, and just keep scaling that way.
I'm so impressed with all that. What about Hydro-Converge? I wrote that down real quick. What does that mean?
Yeah, so hyper-converged is the latest and the hottest technology. You guys will be hearing about it. You'll be studying about it. So what that allows you to do is to consolidate the hypervisor. You can consolidate servers, you can consolidate storage and networking all into these 2U appliances. So rather than having to buy a SAN, which will have a bunch of storage, and then we will purchase a bunch of servers, we can purchase these Nutanix appliances and scale that way. So I'll have my servers and compute in one appliance.
I love that young people are hearing some of that innovation, and you heard it here, hyper-converge. Do some Googling, young people. Learn more about that. You'll be ahead of the game for sure. So you obviously have learned all this on the job and through certifications and with mentors. What is some of your favorite parts of your job, Jesus, and some of the parts you don't like so much?
Yeah, so I mean, I love the team, working with other people, working on the latest technologies, keeping my skill sets up to date. It's a challenging position. So if you're an individual that loves problem solving, if you're an individual that likes working with other people, this is going to be the kind of role that you want to be in. I mean, if you imagine your cell phone, right? Everybody has one of these fancy iPhones or an Android phone. Every 2 years, you find yourself replacing it to get the latest and greatest thing. So the server room, that all the resources everybody's communicating in and out of, that technology in there is evolving even faster than what you got here on your phone. So you got to keep yourself up to date constantly. And at the same time, that's also kind of one of the things that can get frustrating, right? So you almost have to learn to not put yourself down. Like if you get stumped on something, know that eventually you will find the answer, and there are going to be all kinds of walls in your career. I didn't pass every single exam that I took for these certifications. Um, you have to have a relentless attitude. You have to have a mentality that you aren't going to quit. So if you don't pass that exam, you don't get that cert the first time around, um, go back and you're going to try again. Find a different book, find a different mentor. There are different flashcards, there are different YouTube channels, different websites. The resources, the technology is out there, the knowledge is there. It's just finding a different way of acquiring it and then applying it.
That's inspirational. I mean, what you just said, that attitude is everything, right? That relentless attitude, because it's obviously something you've enjoyed. And so you're just going to keep pressing in, keep digging in, because you see this as a career, like you started off with. It's not something you're just doing to earn a paycheck. It's you want to keep aspiring and learning and growing, and that motivates you. Where do you see yourself taking your career after this current role? Where else would you like to do? What else would you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, this is really where I see myself right now. It took a lot to get where I'm at. Honestly, from a technical standpoint, I've pretty much gone as high as I can go. I am the tier 3 guy. I'm helping train the next generation of IT professionals. The only thing left for me would be management, and well, I mean, there are pros and cons to that, but staying on the technical side, it's been great. It's been phenomenal. For me, the next step is the next technology, the next edition of VMware, or the next edition of Nutanix. That's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I'm studying, and that's my future.
I love that you're in a position where you get to be the expert now. And like you said, what's going to continue to challenge you is the innovation that's out there. And that's going to always continue to motivate you. One thing I love about having you as a guest today is that you're doing this work as a systems analyst in a school setting. Some people do it in a hospital setting. Some people do it in business setting. What are some of the perks of being in an education setting? How might your role be different than at a hospital, for example?
Yeah, so I mean, working for a school district, there are some perks. The pay is not going to be as competitive as it would with the hospital or the private sector, but what you really get out of it are the hours. Believe it or not, I am a family man, so I have a wife, I have 4 kids at home, and I get to be there for them every afternoon. They get out from school, and I am there, and I'm there every weekend. I'm there every holiday. I mean, the task of being a man in 2021, it's so hard. I mean, if you make too much money, you don't have enough time, and if you have too much time, you're not making enough money. So working for a school district, it just gives me the best work-life balance that I can find.
Yeah, I think that's so great that you explained it that way, because as students start to really do a self-assessment in the direction they want to go, and they start looking for employers, these are the kind of things that they might not even know to consider. Like when I worked at a hotel chain, I got to stay at other hotels for free. That was a perk. Most people don't know that that's a perk of working in hospitality. So depending on what your own personal values are, find the industry that matches it. And so for you, being a dad of 4, you get out every day, at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and don't have to work weekends. Yeah, that's not happening in other industries.
No, it is not. It is not.
And obviously you've been there in growing and learning your whole adult career. So obviously they're doing something well to retain you. So that's good for Klein.
Yeah, well, it's good for everybody. I mean, I'm building on my experience, my resume, 13 years of experience, and the district really gets to benefit off of that too. I'm learning about these new technologies, new features, and I get to implement it, and the kids get to benefit from it. The teachers here get to benefit from it. It's great for everybody.
What kind of advice would you give to these young people who are taking the time to explore and be part of career chats? We love that they're here. Any words of wisdom that you might have as they're journeying, experiences that you might have done differently or that you felt were really good for you back in those early stages?
Yeah, don't be scared. Don't be scared to take chances. If you have an opportunity to learn something new, um, do it. Acquire that skill set, acquire that knowledge, even if you don't feel like it's going to amount to anything at first. I truly believe everything that you learn, everything that you get to experience, it adds up and it will pay off in the long run. So definitely don't quit early because it's going to be really discouraging in this field. You're going to walk into a room and all your peers are going to be saying all these acronyms and they're going to be saying these technology terms and you're not going to have a clue what they're talking about in the beginning, but after a while, those words, those phrases, they're going to start making sense. You're going to start using them yourself. And that's when this field truly becomes enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that's so great to normalize that stress of being a newbie, of being a new person in a role, or when you transition to a new role, that there's always going to be that uncomfortable feeling because you just don't know everything yet. But again, as you learn and listen and ask questions, again, don't be afraid to ask questions. It becomes more comfortable. I love that. And now you're at the spot you mentioned, you get to train the younger generation. Tell me about some of that work and what you see in some of those young professionals that you really admire. What kind of qualities should these young people watching this today be making sure they focus in on?
Yeah, so the individuals that want to learn, the individuals that have collected themselves together and decided truly that, hey, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be, those are going to be the guys that are hungrier, they're easier to train because they're constantly learning on their own. And then when you get to give them the tidbits of knowledge, when you get to show them a couple of things, they really embrace it better. So yeah, definitely come into your job with that mindset that, you know, you want to learn, you want to become better than yesterday. And if you do that day by day, you will get better. And next thing you know, you'll be the guy that I depend on when I need help in a certain area.
Yeah, you've mentioned several times today how that attitude is really just so much part of it. I did want to pull something out you said and then maybe ask questions about it. So you referred to as guys, the tech guys, and obviously there is one of those gender balance things in IT. How do we help young women understand that this is a role for them too?
Oh, there are women here for sure. They're here. We have you just have to I guess it's really hard kind of like because coming from a male perspective, but the women that are working here, they seem just as ambitious. They're easy to talk to. I would just think just if you could just keep trying, eventually you'll get there. I mean, that's pretty much the only advice I could give them. But yeah, a lot of the women that are already working in IT, they have their own ambition, they have their own drive, they're successful, well educated, and they're just fun to be around. I guess they're easy to work with.
Yeah, and I think we were intentional to try to make sure we had a female systems analyst last week, and it's so great when we can put role models in front of different populations so they can see professionals who look like them, right? So important. So young women, if you're watching this, be sure to seek out even through some Google searches of finding women in tech because they want you there. I know that there are a lot of really intentional efforts to recruit women into tech because it's a different perspective. The way we look at things is different and that diversity is always a plus, right? I know that the tech industry is something that's not, I'm not a techie and I just admire folks like you, Jesus, that can do this kind of work. What are some other roles around you? Let's help young people understand what other kind of careers also make up your team so we can help broaden their knowledge of what's out there.
Yeah, so IT is a really huge field. So yeah, being the systems analyst over the servers and storage team, that's really just one aspect of IT. There's programming and development teams. There are teams that are in charge of like the networking and the infrastructure. You're seeing this huge growth in the cybersecurity space where people are hiring their own full-time security analysts. So you're building security teams, and there's also an applications team. So I mean, the applications team, you're gonna want to learn technologies like SCCM. There's content filter administration, Office 365, and just finding the right technology that you like. If you get good at it, they're gonna find a spot for you on a team, and then you can start acquiring other skill sets. You can start learning about Active Directory once you're on that team.
So yeah, absolutely. And I think just kind of something you mentioned at the very beginning is to really look for those internship opportunities, use any summer camps that local colleges in your area might be offering, get some of those experiences. And are there certifications that, is there an age limit to certifications? Can students start to look at this stuff while they're in high school? Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can get your CompTIA A+ certification at as young as the age of 16. There aren't really age restrictions when it comes to those CompTIA certifications, and those are vendor neutral. So it's going to be applicable to all different fields of technology. So if you get your server plus your Dell server guy, you can use that at HP servers or Lenovo servers. Those vendor neutral certifications are good.
Yeah, and for young people, I guess if there's any questions you have about those specific certifications, young people, put that in the chat, and we can even have Jesus write those out a little bit, because I think you said CompTIA.
Yeah, CompTIA.
Yeah, yes. So then you can Google it, and then you can read more about those certifications on the internet by Googling it and finding out some of the requirements and how it all works. Are there big costs with some of that, or is that free out, like public open source stuff, but you just have to pay for the certifications?
You do have to pay for the exams, and you have to get a certain grade on those exams. So if you don't pass, you're gonna have to pay for another test, and hopefully the next time you pass.
And does Klein pay for any of those kind of trainings and certifications that you need as a professional there?
They don't pay for exams, no, but you will gain opportunities at the companies that you work at to do trainings in certain areas. And sometimes there are certifications for those technologies, but not all the time.
Okay, that's good to know. And I know in some industries, sometimes the employer does pay for that. So that's something important to ask at an interview, for example, if you want to know, or as part of your research of a company before you apply. Jesus, you've been such a wonderful role model today. That 30 minutes went really fast, didn't it?
It did.
Any final word of wisdom as we finish up?
Just don't be scared to take chances. I mean, that's it. I mean, give it a go. You're young. Put yourself out there.
Yeah, I think you've been such a great role model that way, with our attitudes and being a problem solver. And what did you even say? Oh, and the teamwork, that you really seem to enjoy that too. That's really awesome. So if you're a people person, you're not just a person back in a room on a computer. These are the kind of jobs that you're working with people and problem solving together and growing together. So it's really great. Thank you so much. I really appreciated meeting you today, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.